Boy, the MVP of the 1993 Premiership on and off the field. I think they got it right with Michael Long, but there were a couple snapping at his heels. Gary O'Donnell was fantastic that day. I prefer not to talk about my contribution, but it was pretty profound. And then off the field, I have a very vague recollection, but there was this rather rotund teammate of mine. His name was David Calthorpe, and I think he found something special after the game. So I'll give it to him.
The MVP on the field in the 93 Grand Final? Well, Michael Long won the Norm Smith medal, so you'd probably have to say him. But off the field, the MVP was probably me.
That's a good one. Well, in my opinion, off the field, probably one of the young blokes. Olarentia was pretty good. McCurry's pretty good. I reckon I was on the podium there somewhere. And on the field, all their senior players, I think Bomber Thompson, our captain, a great leader. We had Mark Harvey, and also Michael Long was no doubt the MVP of the final series. The way he played footy, he's just had a brilliant final series, and probably got us over the line in a few of those games.
I would say MVP on the field. I'll give it to Gary O'Donnell, who just pips Longy. MVP off the field. Let's go with my old mate, Smoking Joe Misiti.
I did. I went and knifed up my Achilles. It was killing me. I had this swollen leg, but I think we came back to the club here the next day. Details are murky because there wasn't much of a transition from bed to Sunday celebrations. So I can't remember my condition or the condition of my teammates. I will say, though, we were wonderful citizens, and we had photos and signed every autograph we possibly could. Some were better than others. I remember James Hird was a little bit under the weather, and we were all very concerned for his welfare at the time, but he came through to have a wonderful, glittering career, didn't he? We had nothing to worry about in the end.
The next day after the grand final was back here at Windy Hill, right where we are now. We'd actually been up to the social club upstairs on the Saturday night until all hours, but we came back here to meet our fans, which was probably, I think from memory, 15,000 people were here, more Bomber supporters, and on the back of this fascinating 1993 grand final win. And we basically just got up there and thanked everyone for supporting us, and we all had our medals on, and Sheeds had the cup, so we celebrated with them. Yeah, which was special.
Where's this going to? The day after the grand final, I was probably still celebrating, obviously drinking probably lemonade or some sort of soft drink, but no, we were still out. We went out for 3 days in a row with not much sleep. I'm pretty sure Sunday we're back here at Windy Hill, celebrating with all the fans, the players and our families. So yeah, it was a pretty big few days, mate.
The day after the grand final, woke up a bit shady, a bit rusty, but I think we had a day here at Windy Hill and met all the supporters who've been fantastic for us during the year and continue to do so now. So it was great to share the moment with them and be able to, show the cup here. And the ground was packed. As I look now, I remember it being packed, and made it even more special.
We come out here to Windy Hill, where I am right now, and we celebrated a great win. And I know I watched the game when I got home, so I wouldn't have got to bed till 4. I had to get up at 7. So it's just the life of a coach, and I can now see why coaches just throw it in early these days like they have the last couple of weeks. But look, it's very hard to win premierships, and I think to myself, well, enjoy them when you do. I've lost a couple in my life, and I don't look back at the winning or the losing tapes that often, but I know that 7 premierships in my lifetime, I've got to go happy.
Fondest memory of the 93 season, obviously the win, but I played for 13 years, and and it's one of my favourite years for what the group was and how we got on. And it was a fun year off the field. It was a fun year on the field. And I think just coming to training and work every day with these blokes was really special. And I think that was the favourite memory. That and then to be able to top it off and be a teammate of 20 other blokes and be remembered as a premiership player made it even more special.
We never got complacent, but we always showed composure and handled any situation that was thrown at us, like the 1993 prelim final where we came from 40-odd points down. In the end, we could do anything, which was, the young team was unbelievable.
Geez, I mean, you can't top the AFL Grand Final. Obviously, the week before in the preliminary final was a great thrill to get through that game after being 42 points down. But just the collective of the whole season, just what we were building, our camaraderie, our mateship. We had a lot of fun together. We worked hard together, and we got the job done at the end.
Biggest difference between footy between 93 and now is friggin' woolen jumpers. We used to wear woolen jumpers back then, and it used to be so hot. But that's just a side note. But probably just the pace of the game now is a lot quicker. Obviously, you got more interchange, so you're allowed to play the game at a faster, frenetic pace. In 93, it was you never come off the ground until you were playing bad. So I used to see a runner coming towards me, and I used to run the other side of the ground, so he couldn't catch me because I knew he was about to take me off because I was playing poorly. But completely different. But I still reckon we'd go okay in 93 side playing in the current AFL, mate.
Money. Money. I'd love to be playing now. Not just for the money, but the way the game's played.
The biggest difference between AFL now and back in 93 is I think the rotations is one of the biggest things that stands out to me. I played in the midfield, played on Craig Bradley, and I came off the ground once for 5 minutes in the third quarter. And now, you come off like 2 or 3 times a quarter. So that, to me, that's the biggest difference.
Well, the AFL in 93 was called the VFL, and it got changed. Probably the VFL, I mean, when you look back, we were coming out of a huge different zonal system, played in different grounds like Windy Hill and Victoria Park and, those sorts of Junction Oval. So the VFL, when it changed to AFL, there was an enormous changing landscape on recruiting and the production of new clubs in the north, in the New South Wales and Queensland region. And so that introduction has really put a lot of pressure on winning premierships. And I think when you look at Collingwood, who are a successful club that have only won 2 premierships since 1960. So that's an incredible stat. But they've lost 10 grand finals and won 2. So that's very hard on that club and its fans, obviously. So where Essendon since 1960 have probably won 6. West Coast, I think 3 or 4 only. Fremantle, not one. Not one. Fremantle have been in the game 30 years. So when you look back, it's very, very hard on the balance between leaving the VFL and going into the Australian-wide league. Huge difference. Totally different, and much harder in AFL than VFL.
My words of advice for the current Essendon team is to not take advice from past players. Yeah, I think we're well intended, but we're very misguided, and we tend to get stuck in what it was like for us. But I'm hoping they're enjoying their journey, and I'm hoping they're striving to be the best they can be, and I'm hoping they have an extraordinary hunger to win premierships. So it's not so much advice; it's just a hope that they can finish their careers with similar memories to what I have. And if they do, wow, they'll be wearing pink shirts and pocket chiefs when they're older, and looking the part and feeling good about it. That's life. But I hope they have success.
Advice for the current team. Look, they've started to play some really good football, and and as a old player, you know, over probably the last few years, get a little bit frustrated with how they've been going, but they're actually enjoyable to watch these days. I love the way that they compete. You know, they move the ball a lot better, which is great. You know, and you can see that whether they win or lose, you know, I can look at a game now with my family and go, well, there's some improvement there. And I think they're tracking the right way.
Win some more games and win a bloody final. That'd be great. And I always tell people if they ask for advice about footy and how to handle an AFL career, enjoy it, because you don't know how long it's going to last. It could last for 3 games. It could last. I was lucky enough to play 230 odd. So just enjoy it while it's there, because, as Sheed says, I don't like quoting the great man, but your career just goes like that in a flash. So just enjoy it where you can, and let's win a final. That'd be nice.